Hello everyone and welcome to the studios here at Culpeper Media Network once again. My name is Jonathan Krawchuk, Station Manager here at Culpeper Media Network, and it is my pleasure once again to welcome you and to learn more about the Culpeper Humane Society. Joining me again is President Patty Werick. Patty, first off, I want to say thank you for joining us once again.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we had such a good time in our previous program, and that I decided that it might be okay for you to come back.
I love that opportunity.
Now, Patty, real quickly, when we spoke last, I want to remind some folks if they haven't seen the program, which is a shame, but you can view it again, that the main focus, there's two really big focuses for the Culpeper Humane Society, obviously is to reduce shelter intake and increase shelter outtake.
Correct.
And one of the things that I love that you have listed with the Culpeper Humane Society is connecting to people through animals. Can you kind of give us, for those who are unfamiliar, can you kind of give us a 30,000-foot view of who the Humane Society is, what you do? I mean, obviously we just kind of spoke about it, but just, you know, for those who haven't been introduced to the Humane Society, can you kind of give us like a 30-second overview of who you are and what you do?
Sure. We are a 501c3 nonprofit dog cat rescue. We have no facility. All our pets are in volunteer foster homes. So all our programs have been divided, as you mentioned before, about the decreasing the pets going in and increasing the pets going out. All our programs are around the both of those elements, programs designed to support both those elements. So spay and neuter, we do pet pantry, and we do foster and adopt like many other rescues do. And but we also have exclusive programs like Unchained Canines of Culpeper.
It's amazing. We're sitting here talking about all these programs that you offer.
Yeah.
Hence the reason for the series of programs that we're here today. Now last time we were talking about the TNR program, and I know we're going to touch a little bit about that today. In fact, our main focus of the program today is to talk about our low or no cost spay and neuter options. And my first question to you, and we kind of alluded to it earlier, is why is this such a big part of what the Humane Society does? Why is it so important?
Yes. Well, it's pet overpopulation, and I get a lot of people questioning about pet overpopulation. And there's two factors that feed into that. And this is when people do not spay and neuter and have litter after litter with no prospect of homes for those litters. And then the subsequent surrendering of unwanted pets that they can't afford or they no longer want, and going into the shelter. So the number one proven solution to the pet overpopulation is spay and neuter. And so really that is one of the biggest pillars of our whole program, is spay and neuter. That's our number one expense, is vet costs, and that's as it should be.
Well, one of the things we spoke about last time when we were discussing TNR, and I'm going to ask you about that in just a second, was an interesting topic you were talking about, the fact that left unchecked and with adequate food supply and space, that a family, a male and female cat, increase in population exponentially. I mean, can you run through those numbers real quick? Because it was baffling to me when we first talked about it.
It's the thing is with TNR is that the cats are highly productive at reproducing. They're excellent producers. Now, the truth is that many of those kittens don't survive. But the ones that do, and a cat can theoretically give birth at 4 months old and have up to 4 or 5 litters a year. And if you think of five or six kitties a litter, and half are females. And then they start producing. And then their litters are split again towards male and female, and they start producing. Within 3 years, you can have thousands of kittens and cats. And the problem is then it doesn't take many generations before it starts looking very pathetic and unhealthy and just sad because of inbreeding.
It sounds, to be honest with you, when we were talking about it, it sounds like a very bad math problem from high school. You know, 2 cats over 4 months,
yes,
litters, and that's the whole entire thing. You know, we're trying to do our best to keep the pet population healthy.
Yes, that's the other thing. That kind of colony will not be healthy. So that is why trap, neuter, and release. People often ask, please come trap them, take them away. I don't want them back. I have no place to put them. I do not have a facility, and we have foster homes, and you can't put a feral cat in a foster home. So even if there was some open to do that. So by just managing that colony, we can get results so it doesn't grow, because once that whole colony is sterilized, they don't like other cats coming in. It's more competition for the food they have. They just don't accept more in. Sometimes a passive female they may let in. That's why we circle around and say, have you seen any unear-tipped cats around? Because, you know, we'll trap those too. But also we give them rabies shots and distemper shots, and any wounds or diseases that they may display or manifest, we take care of that, and that is all free. But that's a healthy colony. You're not going to have to worry about rabies or any other communicable diseases that spread to other people's animals, and that colony dies out. And some people want to destroy physically the whole cat colony, but that has been proven not to work, and it's because nature abhors a void. You take those cats away, more cats are come, because there's always someone who wants to feed a hungry cat.
Well, true. Now, you know, we're sitting here talking about basically trap, neuter, release, what we spoke about in depth in our first program. Again, I invite folks, if they want to learn more about that particular program, it's available on demand, and we talked about it here right now. But one of the things, since we have the opportunity talking about learning, is I want to make sure that I'm aware of all the contact information, because if I have questions regarding anything we talk about or anything about the Humane Society in general, I would invite folks info@culpeperhumanesociety.com, and you can log on to the website at culpeperhumane.org. And you guys are on Facebook as well, right?
Yes, correct. There's many portals to access us. Email is the best, and some elderly people might not have access to that, but they can always find help with a member of the family, and of course any 8-year-old. And they know everything about the internet.
Yeah. Very true, very true. So as we talked about TNR, and again, I'm sitting here talking about, obviously, the Humane Society and the great work you do. We talked about in our last program, but I again want to highlight the fact that your work, or the Humane Society's work with the community, through partnerships, through volunteer, and your board, is simply stellar, to say the least.
Thank you.
So again, I want to say congratulations to you, the staff, the board, and all your volunteers. Working together with the community for a common goal can be difficult, but the Humane Society seems to do it, and do it well.
Thank you. I think that we do. And part of that has been reaching out to other volunteer groups. For instance, Heroes Bridge. They represent veterans, and they do a lot of work for the veterans, and we work closely with them because some veterans have cat colonies or feed a couple of cats or have their own but can't afford medical care. So Heroes Bridge, in fact, just did an article on us. We work closely with the domestic violence entity called SAFE. Many people will not leave an abusive domestic situation because they can't take their dog or their cat. And we help with all of that.
It's in our conversations, I love the fact that we're sitting here and I'm learning something new every single time. You just mentioned when we're talking about SAFE, Services to Abused Families. That is something that hadn't clicked in my head.
Yeah.
Thankfully, because I have not been in that situation. But it's just one of those things that folks are realizing the extent of work that your organization does,
right,
and other organizations in our community.
Right, and that is one thing that I've been bullish on getting across, is that we are not just boo-hoo cats and dogs. I mean, we are, but they all come with people.
Yeah.
They all come with people in some fashion. And with these other groups, for instance, Heroes Bridge trying to help veterans, they do so much work for them, but we're a component of their work.
Yeah.
And so they reach out to us and ask what we can do. The same with SAFE, for instance.
Well, see, again, this is going back to what we said at the very beginning of the program, connecting two people through animals. And here we are doing just that.
Yes, yes.
Right. So getting back to our topic for today, because you and I could seriously have a conversation about this for the duration of the afternoon. But we're talking about the low or no cost spay or neuter programs. We talked about TNR. One of the other ones that I want to ask you about is the Support for Paws program. Talk to us a little bit about that.
The support, so of our 4 spay and neuter programs, 3 of them are absolutely free,
Okay.
no cost. One is the TNR, of course. Nobody pays for the TNR. And the second is the Support for Paws. And if a individual is eligible and all they have to have is some sort of federal, state, or county assistance, then they are eligible for our Support for Paws program. And that means we furnish free spay, neuter, rabies, and distemper. And a lot of situations, we just had 20 pets go to the clinic yesterday, and I received 3 phone calls from people that we're supporting, the Support for Paws, saying this cat has fleas, and I absolutely go ahead and treat that. And we absorb all that cost because we have to help this cat probably the only time that it's going to be seen.
Yeah.
So, or it has ear mites, and go ahead and treat it. So we do a lot of other things to help the cat be healthy and help the owner at the same time.
Yeah, and again, the connection is weaving its way through the conversation. And one of the things we talked about before, a lot of times, folks with their pet, that is their family.
That is their family, yes.
Yeah, and a lot of times, my dog is not my dog. It's, it's part of the family.
Yeah.
It has been for 14 years now. Oh, so I know, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And a lot of times, all the time we think of our pet as a family member, but sometimes it is the only family member.
Yes, and the people that are eligible for the Support for Paws are also seniors, the veterans, people that are disabled, people in different programs like SAFE. All those people deserve the companionship and the attention from what a pet can give. And they deserve that as much as anybody else.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yes.
And we talked about, we're here talking about our 4 main programs, and 3 of them are free, and another one is low cost. So again, you have a low cost spay neuter program. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes. The thing about the support for paws and that it's free is because those are the people that get federal, state, or county assistance. So they already are having trouble with housing and food, groceries on their table. A spay and neutering is not part of their concept of what they can afford. So we're happy to do that for them because it actually does reduce the unwanted population. Mm-hmm. But there's a whole contingency of residents in Culpeper County that want to do the right thing, but cannot afford the full price that's offered by private vets. And we can offer low-cost vet clinics for a third of the cost, and we set the appointment up. We do the transport, work out all the logistics. We pay the clinic, and the residents reimburse us. So that works out well for them because they get something that they need done for their pet, and we get more spay and neutering done than ever before. I think last year, even during the pandemic, between all our programs, we did over 1,000 spay and neuters. So
that's a large number.
Even during a pandemic. So I think that, we've set ourselves a 3-year timeline for the TNR to see if we can really make a difference. COVID, thank you, interrupted that flow somewhat. But with all our programs, I think 5 years, and we're already 2 years in, is going to make a significant difference in pet overpopulation in this county.
So moving forward, when you set your 5-year goal, what other indications are that it's working?
So I'll tell you the number one ask that I use is I ask the shelter. Mm-hmm. They really are the one facility where people want to take their animals to, owner surrender. I have these cats I don't want, I'm moving, I can't take this dog, or they just leave it in the house and wait for animal control to come and pick it up. Yeah. So they are my biggest first ask. Mm-hmm. And
well, that probably gives you a really good indication.
Yes, because that is, what decreasing and increasing from the shelter, from our point of view, is where we're at. Yeah. Now, at a later point, when people stop calling us for the ferals, or 1 or 2 ferals, that's when we will start going around knocking on doors looking for farms mm-hmm. that would like theirs done. And to some extent we've done that already just by accident because people find us.
Yeah.
And they want their farm cats managed.
And again, going back to, we're trying our best to keep the pet population healthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That keeps the human population healthy as well.
You're absolutely correct. Mm-hmm. Again, if folks are curious, or I want to remind, reaching out to the Culpeper Humane Society is important because you can't do your job unless you know what's going on out in the community. You can't be everywhere at once.
Right.
So if folks are interested, again, info@culpeperhumanesociety.com. Culpeperhumanesociety.org is your website.
Right.
And of course, you have a Facebook presence as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Patty, moving on, one of our last programs for spay and neuter that we want to talk about is Pit Fix. Now, when you mentioned the word pit bull, I'm sorry, it's just one of those things in society now, whether you agree with it or you're not, there is a stigma attached to the breed.
Yes.
Pit bull.
Yes.
And I would assume that pit bulls are one of the most surrendered animals. Is that the preferred term?
Well, I wouldn't say surrendered because they're also strays that animal control is picking up. Pit bulls have a terrible reputation from the dog that was once called the nanny's dog is now a fearsome thing, but of course that is a people issue,
yep.
because they're breeding aggressive dogs, and they make them aggressive. They don't, as puppies, they don't come out aggressive. And but at any rate, pit bulls are picked up as strays. They are surrendered. Again, people not spay and neutering, and then there's a whole litter you can't get rid of. Specifically in Virginia, we work a lot with the south of Virginia because they have far less resources than we do. In the
Tidewater area?
Yes,
okay.
yeah. So, we always try, we're a very small group, but we always try to take someone from down south to help out our sister rescues. And of course, working with our shelter, we're always taking pitties out of there, and we've saved a number. But it's difficult because foster homes are, the same. They say I have the same prejudices, or they may have a female dog that they don't want, a male pit bull or a black male. Everybody has their laundry list. But I will tell you one thing, is that I've been doing animal rescue work for 37 years, and I have been bitten twice doing rescue work.
Do I even need to ask the next question?
Go ahead. This is what I wait for.
Would you like to share what dogs bit you?
The little fluffy rugrats. I had a Chihuahua that had to circle me in a wide circle so he could bite me on my ankle from behind.
Jeez.
I mean, that was just mean.
No.
And the other was, I was transporting for another group a little Bichon poodle mix, and little white fuzzy cuddly slipper type right here in the car. And she didn't look it. She looked awful cute. And this was for another group, and they wanted me to transport her to the new owner. So I was driving, and I just reached down to pet her a little bit, and I see that now was totally my fault because she bit my hand. And I stopped the car and I called them and I said, I don't think that this is a good mix. These people have 3 children. This is not a good match. She's very sensitive to having hand put over. Obviously my fault. I shouldn't have done that, but still.
Well, when you're talking, you bring back important points, and I think people are beginning to understand because they're coming to the realization. Again, the misconception of the pit bull being an aggressive breed is because of the way they are bred and the way they are raised.
Yes, and whose fault is that?
Well, it's not their fault.
It's people's fault.
Yes.
Yeah, but we have never had an aggressive pit bull or pit bull mix in our...
Well, you said you've been doing this for 37 years.
Yeah, we've never had a problem. It's just with the licking. My knees are immaculate from years of licking the knees until I get up there to your face so I can lick your face.
No.
That's where they are.
Well, I think one of the things that I've taken away from this conversation, I hope others have too, is first off, your passion for what you do and the passion with which the Culpeper Humane Society operates in this area. I think that's abundantly obvious. And one of the other things I think people are taking away is that the opportunity to keep the pet population healthy and in turn our community healthy. These are the resources that you provide to Culpeper. And I think I know I would like. It's nice to know that if I needed you, you would be there. If I called or emailed.
Yeah, of course you do have my number.
I do now, so I probably shouldn't give it out. But again, if folks are curious about anything that we've spoken about today, or they want more information about all the programs regarding the Culpeper Humane Society, you can email info@culpeperhumanesociety.com, culpeperhumane.org, and again, you can always find you on Facebook.
On Facebook to ask a question. And so, back to Pit Fix, is any pit bull or pit bull mix gets free spay, neuter, rabies, and distemper regardless of your financial status. I mean, if you pull up an Alexis, I'm going to give you some lip.
Maybe they want to give a little donation.
Yeah, I would give you some lip. But I don't care. I want those spayed and neutered because they are the number one in most shelters across the nation. Now, this area, there's hounds too, because there's just a plethora of hounds. And hunters at the end of the season may not want to feed them all winter long. And so the ones that maybe aren't that good of a hunter, they just let wander lost and only take back the younger, the better hunters. So we wind up having lots and lots of hounds in there, but pit bull too. So right now we're working on pit bull fixes.
Understood. Well, you know, this might be an interesting segue. You mentioned hounds at the end of the season. I'm pretty sure that's exactly where my dog came from. She's a hound mix. And, you know, I found her through the shelter, through the Humane Society, and I think there are a lot of folks who might be able to have a great relationship with their future animal because of the adoptions that the Humane Society offers. So if you don't mind, let's take a quick look and see what you have offering right now. Well, as you can tell by how many times you said, "Aw," the beautiful animals are ready for your family, courtesy of the Culpeper Humane Society. Now, Patty, again, it's always been fantastic speaking with you. And as we get ready to wind, oh, you're so sweet. As we get ready to wind things down, I'm just curious. We talked about the low, no-cost spay and neuter programs, TNR, Pit Fix, support for paws, and low-cost spay and neuter, and the amount of work that the Humane Society does in Culpeper takes a lot. And it takes money to do this because, you know, we've just mentioned 4 programs out of the many that you offer that are focused on low or no-cost procedures for our animals. How are you able to do this? How are you funded? How is this possible?
I get asked that question quite a lot, and I always say glibly something about, you know, you put a bunch of old ladies together and we can squeeze a buck, you won't believe. But, and that is true. But creative financials. We've learned first of all, we've learned what our number one priority was. It's really important that for us, we understand it's spay and neuter. So that's our number one cost is veterinarian, and that's the way it should be, because that's our number one priority is spay and neuter. So given that, we look at other things that we need finances for, and see how we can leverage it with asking the community for donations for that, whether it's an actual product or they can go to chewy.com. We have a wish list there of food and meds that you can get from chewy.com, and just ship them, and we have about 3 pages. That's been very successful. We do Facebook campaigns asking for certain things. For instance, we just did a campaign on building cat shelters, and
with the coolers.
And we needed coolers. We needed hard-sided coolers. And last year we did this, and I think we got maybe 26 or 30. This year, 70.
Well, I like to say it's because of our conversations here.
I think so.
Totally.
I think that's why you're my bestie now. Yes.
I take it.
70 coolers in my garage. But we write grants, and we have little donation boxes all over Culpeper County. And you think, well, how much could that be? Well, it's about $3,000 a year. Used to be more before COVID, but then people stopped going out. So right now, I think the last 2 years it's been about $3,500, $3,000, something like that. But that's on a nice little dibble coming in.
There's nothing to sneeze at.
No, and we need that. But most of our revenue is from donations, and it's from the community.
Well, with the conversations that we've had, and the conversations we will have, I think folks are beginning to realize the great work. Hopefully, they're beginning to understand the great work that the Culpeper Humane Society does, and they want to help out.
Yes.
Now, if I wanted to do that, I mean, obviously, I could I pull out a check and write Culpeper Humane Society with big numbers on it.
Yes.
It would bounce very quickly because. But maybe I'll do an installment plan. But if folks are interested, I mean, obviously they can email you at info@culpeperhumanesociety.com. Is there a donation button available on culpeperhumane.org?
Yes, we have donation buttons on our Facebook page and on our website page. Also, chewy.com. You can give a credit card amount, $75 credit at chewy.com or something like that, and we buy what we want. PayPal, we get a lot of money through PayPal because it's just easy for people to give us a gift.
So there are plenty of opportunities.
Oh yes, and you can just write a check and send it to our post office box.
And we will have that information on the screen, so if folks are watching, they can stroke that check and stick it in the mail immediately.
Yes, and we get annual checks, and we get people that care that send monthly. And also we're finding that what I always find interesting is that as you become more successful, there are people that want to be associated with you, and they want to help you reach further. You've kind of proven that you're passionate and that you're going to make this happen, and they want to help you. And so we've had a lot of businesses step in to offer various things that have been very useful. Not least is the money, because veterinarians actually insist on cash.
Yeah. I was there last week. I totally know what you're talking about. Well, again, Patty, I can't thank you enough for coming in and sharing with me more about all that the Culpeper Humane Society does and offers our community. Again, connecting to people through animals is probably one of the greatest things.
I think so too.
And we've talked about it before, and we're going to talk about it again. I can't wait to learn more about next time, but for now, I want to just say thank you for sharing the information with us.
Oh, you're more than welcome, and I want to thank you so much for having us, because this is such a important, essential publicity opportunity for us to talk endlessly about what we love.
Well, maybe next time I'll bring my little Sasha here. Well, she's not little. So folks can see the joy that having an animal in your life can bring.
Yes. I could bring a kitten too.
Don't do that. Because I'm telling you, whether through Nicole or through myself, it's going to come home with one of us.
That's what we count on.
Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in, and thank you to Patty, and again, thank you to the Culpeper Humane Society. Again, info at culpeperhumanesociety.com. Reach out through email. Visit them at culpeperhumane.org. Find them on Facebook. But whatever you do, find a way. Help out the Culpeper Humane Society as they keep our pet population healthy, as well as our Culpeper community. Until we see you, logging into Chewy to add to the wish list for the Culpeper Humane Society, you have yourselves a great day and a better tomorrow.